Hi, I'm A Poranek. I'm the author of A Treachery of Swans and Where the Dark Stand Still, and today I'm going word for word with Simon Teen. A Treachery of Swans. I push past the man standing in front of me to emerge from the crowd. The movement is enough to bring the Dauphin's eyes back to me. His gaze pools with the panic of a much younger boy, caught in a riptide and struggling not to be pulled under. I can't help but feel a reluctant stab of kinship. Aimé Victor Rogier's brand of chaos is different from mine, but it comes from the same place. We are both birds trapped in cages, only while he is batting brokenly at the bars, I'm determined to pick the lock. That is what I try to convey as I hold his attention. Understanding, a final play on his pity, in case my vow earlier was not enough. The Dauphin looks away, straightens, and steps away from his father, forcing the man to release his grip. My beloved guests, I present to you the future Queen of Orléans, Mademoiselle Marie d'Odette, daughter of Auvigny. The world becomes a blur. The musicians play a jarring, rushed fanfare, and the Dauphin rushes forward to grip my hands and press a tense kiss to my cheek. I dart a look at the king. Though his face is without expression, he watches his son with cold, vicious rage. The Dauphin wisely avoids his father's eyes as he pulls me towards the gathered court. The crowd bursts into applause, though it sounds malicious somehow, threatening. As I walk by them, their faces blur together, artificial theater masks, lifeless eyes and painted lips, and two sharp teeth glinting as they seethe out their congratulations. They think I will be an easy meal, I realize. The Swan Princess of Auvigny, pearlescent and pure-hearted, and ripe for their devouring. But they're wrong. I'm not the delicate, white-feathered bird they believe me to be. I'm the darkness of cold gutters and merciless nights, the bruised shadows beneath a thief's desperate eyes. I'm nothing but a lie, a twisted reflection, a black swan, and my teeth are just as sharp as theirs. This is the scene towards the end of the royal ball, which is kind of based on the scene in the Swan Lake Ballet where there's like a big ball, and in the end the black swan shows up and she dances with the prince and then he falls in love with her thinking that he's Odette. And in this scene, Odile is disguised as Odette. She's also the black swan disguised as the white swan. And she, after a long night of kind of playing politics and kind of trying to intertwine herself into court, has finally managed to convince the prince to choose her as his bride. This is the first time kind of in the book that she shows empathy, where she finds a way to connect with the prince and is surprised when showing empathy to the prince is what kind of convinces him to decide that he's going to marry her, as opposed to like all of her kind of scheming up until this point. This was, honestly, it was a pain in the butt to write. It's such a big, elaborate scene and there's so many things happening and so many things to do that I think my favorite part of it is the ending, when she finally gets what she wants and she thinks she's won this contest that she's in, and she walks through the crowd hand in hand with the prince, and she takes a look at all the faces of the nobles and realizes that they've all kind of picked her as their competition, and she starts to realize that she's kind of in over her head, but she refuses to acknowledge that to herself, which is where you get that final passage where she's like, my teeth are just as sharp as theirs, is she's kind of telling herself that she can do this and she can play this game of the court even though she's not 100% sure if she can. Where the Dark Stand Still. She keeps blinking back tears, but the flow is endless, and she wonders if they will drown her. When she is done, the Leshy clears his throat delicately. I'm sorry, he says. What for? This isn't like what happened to my father. There is nowhere else you can lay the blame. She wrings her hands. I wanted that. Don't you see, Leshy? I'm a monster. You spent your life under growing pressure, Liska. Even the strongest person would crack after so many years. Her breath stutters. How can you be so calm? People are dead. They are, he agrees. But that is the nature of the world. Things die and new things are born. He pulls a dry rowan berry out of his pocket, toying with it as he speaks. Your magic is a part of you. That is also nature. Getting rid of it will not change the past, and it will not bring you relief. Liska knows he is looking at her, gauging her response, but she goes on staring at the berry in his hand. She is cracking, fissuring like fragile porcelain, and if she speaks, she might shatter. There's a thing we do, the Leshy says. We rearrange ourselves, cutting off pieces here and there to fit a mold that was never meant for us. He tosses the berry, catches it. I know something of that, but becoming the Driada's warden taught me one thing. If the world has not prepared a place for you, you must take up a hammer and chisel and carve one out for yourself. So this is a scene where after like a whole book of butting heads constantly with each other, Liska and Leshy finally have moments of vulnerability with each other. Liska has just had this big moment of kind of admitting to somebody for the first time the past that has happened to her and kind of why she is the way she is, why she's looking to get rid of her magic. And she's distraught. She's basically like incredibly emotionally vulnerable in this moment. And she doesn't expect Leshy to come and comfort her, but he does. He shows up and he gives her a piece of advice that kind of hints a bit at his past. And so he's letting himself open up to her as well. And this is the first time we kind of see a moment of humanity in him, and the first moment where they both start to like connect with each other and realize that they're not alone in their struggles. This is probably one of my favorite scenes in the books. It was rewritten a couple of times because I wanted to get it just right. I love writing moments of kind of emotional vulnerability between characters, and these like moments especially, I love to write a character who like breaks down and finally opens up to another character. And this happening between Liska and Leshy who like is so adamant about not making a connection with her, and he's so so stubborn and he just does not want to like be friendly in any way, shape, or form, finally kind of starts to understand her, and he starts to go, oh no, I'm connecting with her and I don't want to, but I am. And he has this moment of softness, and I think it's so rewarding to get to that scene after like half a book of having them kind of fighting each other. So it's always just a really nice thing to kind of see your characters finally start acting like normal people and not being insane all the time. I pull inspiration from things that I love and things that kind of fascinate me. So Where the Dark Stands Still, I had been reading about Polish folklore for a while. I really loved it, and I kind of wanted to write a book that would showcase it in a way, while also telling this kind of like intimate story. So I drew kind of on a lot on Polish folklore, I drew a lot on Slavic mythology, kind of on Polish history as well, and kind of put them all together to create what I hope would kind of be like a showcase, and also just introduce people to something that they might have never interacted with before, which is Polish folklore. Treachery of Swans was a little bit different in that I always knew I wanted to write a Swan Lake retelling because I kind of grew up I started with the Barbie movie. I've seen basically every iteration of Swan Lake that exists. It was one of the first ballets I saw. I have a very soft spot in my heart for it. But with that, I always had a fixation on the Black Swan as a character, and the fact that she shows up so briefly, we don't know anything about her, but she plays such a pivotal role in the story, and I wanted to give her a voice and kind of expand on her character a little bit more, while also exploring a bit of like French history. This is the 17th century. It's a very interesting time period in France. It's not Marie Antoinette. Everybody keeps thinking it's Marie Antoinette. It's not. It's like the Three Musketeers era, but it's such an interesting era to explore. It was a time of like, there was like a boom in kind of the arts in France, and I thought it was really nice for a setting that was based on a ballet.